Hi, this is 100 and 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Today we're looking at Pistol Whip. Pistol Whip is one awesome VR game, and this one has gotten a lot of attention just in the last few days that it's been available, and we're really excited to jump in and review some of the best parts about Pistol Whip with you today. In our VR Gear game reviews, we cover as many aspects of the game as possible so that you can make an informed decision before you try or buy one of these VR titles. Pistol Whip VR is one of our favorite games, and it has received one of the highest scores that we've given, which we'll show you here at the end of the video. Pistol Whip VR is a rhythm game that is a mixture of Super Hot and Beat Saber and John Wick and first-person shooters, as well as a shooter on rails. And this game, while it is extremely unique, it becomes very familiar, and it will quickly become one of your favorites as you start playing this game. So let's jump into the review. Talk first about getting up and running with Pistol Whip. You can currently buy Pistol Whip on the Steam store and on the Oculus store, but it is not yet available on the Vive store, and it's likely not going to hit the Viveport Infinity subscription anytime soon. There's been a lot of success early on with this game, so that might be an indication that they will hold off on the Viveport Infinity subscription as a place for it to be played. It is also not available on the PSVR. Fortunately though, if you do have an Oculus Quest, you can get this game there as well. So we're looking at the Oculus Store, the Steam Store, and also the Oculus Quest. The game is currently selling for $24.99, and the download file is a very small 800 megabytes. This might have something to do with the fact that the game is a low poly game, and there's only 10 levels to start out. So let's talk now about what type of game Pistol Whip is. This is a shooter on rails, and it's a rhythm game, and it's sort of a first-person shooter. It's all kind of mixed together in this one, and it's a really great, unique game that the unique gameplay style is really what makes it stand out among the crowd. What you'll do while playing the game is you will stand facing forward and you will shoot at the bad guys who will reveal themselves from behind barriers or walk through different hallways or corridors that are outside of your view. Your job is to shoot them before they shoot you and to dodge the bullets that have already been shot in your direction, or else game over and you start from the beginning. We'll let you in on a little secret here. The best way to score the highest in the game is to shoot the opponents to the beat of the song. We figured this out on the first day of gameplay, and we remained in the top 10 on all songs globally for the entire day. I don't think everyone figured that out yet. They might have now, but that's the secret to scoring really well in this game. Make sure that your bullet hits the bad guys to the beat of the song, or make sure you Pistol Whip as many people as you can. You'll get full credit no matter when you hit them. You'll play this game from the first-person perspective. You won't be able to see your feet or your body, arms or legs or hands, but you will see the gun that you're holding. If you play with game modifiers, you'll be able to see two guns. You can play this game with dual guns, but this will decrease your overall score percentage by 50%. So be aware that if you get a perfect score, you'll get no better than a 50% score. But it is a lot of fun to play this game with two pistols in your hand. It really helps you complete levels if you aren't able to complete them in the normal mode, which allows you to play with one pistol only. For theme and story, this game doesn't have a specific storyline, but there is clearly a theme going on here, and that is very much along the lines of a highly skilled, almost assassin-like person who is trekking through all 10 of these levels as they have to kill every single one of the bad guys by themselves with just a pistol. So as far as themes go, this game is a dangerous one, and it definitely is engaging. You will feel like you are John Wick, where there's crowds of people with weapons trying to kill you, but for some reason, if you can make it to the end of the level, you will have evaded death and killed all the bad guys by yourself single-handedly with a single pistol in your hand. Feels pretty good when you finish each level, but there's definitely a challenging element to this game for sure. For controls, you won't find an easier game than this one when it comes to learning the controls that you need to master to succeed at gameplay. The controls are used in every single context, including the game menu, during the tutorial, and during gameplay. You eliminate the opponent by aiming your weapon at the bad guys and pulling the trigger. You have 15 rounds in your gun before you need to reload, and reloading is as simple as aiming at the floor and then bringing your gun back up to fire again. The strategy we employed here was to reload as often as possible because you aren't going to be able to keep track of how many rounds you're unloading into the crowd of people coming at you. So making sure your gun is always topped off with ammo is one of the suggestions that we really encourage you to follow. But other than that, there are no other controls. You can pause and go back to the main menu, or pause and then resume. But these are your traditional pause buttons. On the index controllers we have, that was the B button. And on the Oculus Touch controllers, you hit the menu button there and it will take you to the pause menu, which will allow you to restart or go back to the main menu. Music and sound in Pistol Whip is what this game is all about. However, the developers did say that this game is first a shooting game and then a rhythm and music game, but once you get into it, you realize pretty quick that the music really makes this game different from all others and is what makes this game so much fun to play. As you work your way through the levels, you'll be exposed to different EDM tracks that were custom developed for Pistol Whip. And the mapping of the levels were done specifically so that you could play the game to the beat of the music. In fact, as we said earlier, you'll get a higher score if you are able to eliminate the opponents to the beat of the song. So the music in this game is central to the experience. Having your own sense of rhythm and beat is crucial to your success. And if you really want to get high in the leaderboard, you'll have to sacrifice unloading rounds into the crowd of people in exchange for hitting someone to the beat of the song. Now, when you do this, you're exposed to a lot more projectiles coming your way. You'll have to dodge a lot more because you aren't able to just shoot immediately. You need to wait for the right beat so that you can get the highest score. So there's a trade-off, but it makes the game so much more fun to play. And when you get into the rhythm, you start to see why the levels were mapped the way that they were. Very similar to Beat Saber, where if you can master the rhythm of the maps that were provided, you can feel the flow and the dance of what the song was trying to have you play, which makes the game all the more enjoyable. So the music and sound here, we loved it, and it's crucial to gameplay, and we can't wait for more tracks to be released. Now, a side note, on the Steam store, you're able to download some DLC. We thought originally the DLC was additional songs, but it turns out that it's the same songs that are in the game, and you're just able to then listen to them. We should have read the fine print more carefully because now we own a whole bunch of tracks that are played in the game. We have no real use for them outside of the game. So keep that in mind. The DLC for Pistol Whip on the Steam store is not additional levels. It's just the songs from inside of the game turned into audio format so you can just play them back on whatever your playback device might be. Player movement in this game is quite unique. You aren't teleporting through the world, but you're definitely moving through the world. Your movement, similar to games that are shooter on rails type games, and you're also able to move side to side as you are dodging bullets. You can rotate around and shoot at people that you might have missed before they got past you. In fact, that's probably a good practice to adopt because if you don't shoot them while they are in front of you, that doesn't mean they can't still shoot you once they are behind you. So make sure you're able to shoot as many of the bad guys when they're in front of you as possible. And if you miss one, turn around and shoot them because they can still fire at you no matter where they are in the scene. Another thing about player movement that you should be aware of is that you're moving forward through each level while you're physically standing still in the real world. This can potentially cause some motion sickness for people who are newer to VR, or if you spend a long time in the game like we did, it can eventually become a little bit disorienting, or you'll be able to become accustomed to it. So while you are able to play this game from a standing position and the world is coming at you, you do need to move quite a bit. In fact, we saw in a tweet soon after the game was released, on the next day, the game developers asked all the new players how their legs were feeling after they played Pistol Whip for an entire day, and we definitely felt the burn. You are squatting down a lot, you're jumping from side to side a lot, and you are really moving a lot in this game. Even though you're not moving forward or backwards in your play area, you're definitely moving from side to side. We did see when you were playing this game that there's a tendency for people to creep forward while playing the game, and we nearly got some bloody knuckles from hitting the wall at the end of our play area because we wanted to pistol whip someone, and instead of hitting them, we hit the wall. So best practice here is to make sure your guardian is set up about a foot before you get to a wall that's in the front of your play area, because it is a real thing. You will creep forward while playing this game because you will want to dodge bullets that are coming at you from all directions. For motion sickness, this game is definitely a unique one. While you're not teleporting around, going from place to place, or rotating and changing your orientation, there is a chance that you will become motion sick if you are sensitive to it, or if you're new to VR and you're not used to being fully immersed in a virtual world like this game. There are modifications that you can put in place that will give you a greater sense of presence and stability. One of them is on by default, and that is a target that you stand on during gameplay. This will help you feel more in place so that you feel like the world's moving and you're not. But even then, you're not looking at your feet that often, and because of that, there is a chance that you will become motion sick while playing this game. We would love to see in future updates of this game a greater sense of being stationary while playing this game to avoid motion sickness. Although this may compromise gameplay because the whole idea is you're sprinting through one of these scenes and shooting all the bad guys to get to the end. If you looked like you were stationary, then it kind of wouldn't make sense. But it might be better for reducing motion sickness for those that are sensitive to it. The environment of this game and the level of immersion was outstanding. It is an incredibly engaging game. You have to pay very close attention. You're looking left and right and up and down. You're waiting for objects that are coming at you, and you're trying to dodge them at the right time, all while trying to shoot the enemy to the beat of a song. While the graphics are low poly graphics, they're done very well. It's very similar to Super Hot in the visual aesthetics here, and the music is very engaging, similar to the tracks you'll find in a game like Beat Saber. It's like Beat Saber and Super Hot had a baby, and Pistol Whip is what we got. All right, so let's look at the scorecard for Pistol Whip VR, starting with theme and story. We are giving this game a 9 out of 10 for theme and story, and this is near the very top of our score range, and this game is very deserving of it. From the introductory menu to the game menu to the modifications menu to gameplay, the theme of this game is pervasive and very well executed. Everything you do in the game is interacted with via your pistol. You're able to modify the skins of your gun, the sound of your gun. You're able to increase your skills all the way up to the point where you can play with the modification Deadshot, which requires you to have actual accuracy when firing at the opponents, which, believe it or not, is incredibly difficult to do. As a result, a 9 out of 10 for theme and story in this game is a very well-deserved score. For controls, this game is getting an 8 out of 10. This is a fantastic score. There aren't a lot of input buttons that you need to memorize. There's a natural reloading process, and aiming your weapon is just forgiving enough to make gameplay fun, but also require you to have a little bit of skill. We feel like an 8 out of 10 is a great and well-deserved score for this game. We love the simplicity and how responsive it is, so an 8 out of 10 for controls. For music and sound, this game is getting a perfect score of 10 out of 10. We loved the tracks in this game. We did say 1 week prior to the release of the game that if the tracks were limited to only EDM tracks, that we would be disappointed. But we were wrong, and this game is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the music inside of it. You're able to play these songs and really feel how well they were mapped to the scenes that you play in the game. In addition to the great music that you'll find in this game, The sound effects are outstanding. We loved that you could go in and change the sound of your weapon. It actually added a lot to the gameplay. You could have a more silenced sound or a more robust gunfire sound while shooting your pistol in the game. That's a little treat that the developers gave us, and we really thought that was great. So a 10 out of 10 for music and sound for Pistol Whip. For player movement, we're giving this game a 9 out of 10. That is one of the highest scores we've given for player movement. There are no teleportation mechanisms here, but you are able to physically move in the world, and that is mapped to your movement in VR, which is fantastic. There is a slight disorientation that can happen because you are moving forward through the level and you're not moving forward through the real world. This causes you to creep forward in your play area, so be aware of that. But outside of that, you're able to move around a lot and you're able to actually work up a sweat while playing this game. So we're providing a 9 out of 10 for player movement in this game. For motion sickness, this game is getting a really good score, but there is some room for improvement here. We're providing it with a 7 out of 10 for motion sickness. The areas for improvement here include avoiding things that would cause disorientation or a disconnect between what you are visually experiencing and what you're physically experiencing. This also applies to the player's tendency to creep forward in their play area while playing the game, which can be dangerous, and it's also disorienting when you pull your headset off and you're standing right up against the wall. But overall, motion sickness is very unlikely if you are familiar with VR and if you have some experience under the headset. So this game gets a really good score of a 7 out of 10 for motion sickness. And finally, environment and immersion. This game is phenomenal. We didn't want to leave. And when we were in the menu, it felt like we had taken the headset off to take a break, and then we picked another scene and went back into the game as if we were putting the headset back on. We felt so immersed that we didn't actually leave our headset for hours. In fact, we probably spent more continuous time playing Pistol Whip than any other game recently without realizing how much time we had spent. In fact, we got some sweat lines in our headsets and we had to wipe some sweat from our foreheads when we took the headsets off. We had no idea we had been in there so long. We were breathing so heavily and our heart rates had gotten so high. This game had us captivated completely while we were playing it. So a perfect score of 10 out of 10 for environment and immersion. And now the overall score that we're giving Pistol Whip is an 8.8 out of 10. This is the highest score we've given in our 100 in 100 VR game review, and we are happy to give it. Pistol Whip is very deserving of this score. It is a very immersive game. It is packed full of action. It will get your heart rate up. It's like exercise. It's like Beat Saber. It's like all of the things that you love in VR all packed into one experience. We highly recommend this game. It's available for purchase today on the Steam store and the Oculus store, soon to be released on the Vive store. It is not available on PSVR yet or the Viveport Infinity subscription, but we're hopeful they'll show up on those stores soon. This has been 100 in 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you can receive a notification tomorrow when we release another VR game review. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.